Hello and welcome to a new episode of Soul Alchemy, your podcast to help you remember your true power and unfold all of your potential. Today, I want to talk about the most important choice I ever made. The choice that changed my life forever. And I want to start with a story. And it actually happened 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I had just gotten out of a several year long abusive relationship, and I had to move back to my parents. I felt horrible at the time. I was heartbroken. I was going through all the shit we go through after a breakup. And I felt so humiliated because I had to move in with my parents again. I was still studying at the time and I couldn't afford to pay for an apartment all by myself. So I had to go back to living with my parents. And I felt so embarrassed and like it was a very hard time for me. And as I was getting home, there was a lot of crisis going on in my family too. So I was going through quite the struggle at the time. And I came, I actually reached a point where I was contemplating, I was starting to reflecting on my life and how it had gotten to that point. I was contemplating how I had ended up in such an abusive relationship and how I got stuck in such a pattern and why it had gotten to the point that it had gotten to. For that, you gotta know that ended, it kind of ended with I didn't leave until I actually received like death threats from the person who claimed to be my partner at that time. Only at that point had I actually reached the level of awareness of how toxic this was that it got me to leave the relationship. So I was pretty deep in the shit at that time that I had actually let it that I actually ended up letting it get to that point where I received death threats. So I was contemplating, and I remember this evening when I made that choice, as clear as daylight. I was walking out. It was pretty much about this time of year, end of October, beginning of November. I was taking a walk one evening outside. It was dark, and I was walking on that walk path along the fields right beside the train where the train goes. And then I was walking and I was thinking, like, how could it get to that? How could it get to that point in my life where everything is a wreck, where I'm at that point that I feel like everything's falling apart. I'm just falling apart. And I realized something. I realized that I had spent my whole life living for other people, that I had spent my whole life trying to be who everyone else around me was expecting me to be, that I was doing nothing but trying to make the people around me happy by shapeshifting in who they would want me to be. And I realized that I had no idea whatsoever who I was. Me, truly me, when I'm not shapeshifting for other people, when I wasn't focusing on being who everyone else wanted me to be, but when I was truly me, I had no idea who that person was. And that actually shook me to the core. It shocked me. The fact that I had no idea who I was outside of relationships with other people, where I was defined by their projections of who they wanted me to be. And so as I was walking and this hit me, I was like, oh my God, this can't be. And I had spent the years before trying to, going on the self discovery journey and wanting to find myself. So I was traveling the world, I was going on work away trips, and I was doing all these things trying to find myself. But what I had never been able to see up to this point was that it didn't matter where I went to or what I did. that I would never be able to find myself as long as I was living for someone else. And I realized that what happened in that relationship that became so toxic was that I was so focused on being what others wanted me to be that I wasn't even aware any at all with what my values were or what my standards were. So I didn't hold up any standards. I held no boundaries, nor did I hold any standards, because it was all about being that person that everyone else wanted me to be so I could be loved. So I didn't hold any standards up for myself. I was not able to hold any boundaries up for myself. And that that was what actually had gotten me into such a bad relationship. And so as I was realizing that, I made a choice. And I remember it so clearly because it was the most powerful choice I ever made. I told myself, this is enough. This living for others, enough of it. Now everything is changing. And as everything is changing, I make a choice. I make this choice that from now on, I live for myself and no one but myself. And the only person that I focus on making happy from now on is me. And the only person whose opinion about me matters to me from now on is me. I want to start living for myself. I want to start being the kind of person that I like. I want to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of myself because of who I am. Not because of what everyone else says, but because of what I see, what I feel, how I relate to myself. And so I decided I'm going to take whatever time it needs, but I am going to go and I'm going to find myself. I'm going to peel back all those layers of people pleasing, all those layers of shape shifting. No matter how long it takes, I'll go and I'll find myself. And from now on, I'll start living for myself. And I kind of, as I was making that choice, I kind of told myself, it's enough with being fake. It's enough with being fake so that someone would love me. From now on, I'm being me. And as I realized I have no idea who I was, I had this feeling of it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter that I have no idea who I am outside of relationships, outside of people pleasing. Because if I make the choice that I'm going to be me from now on and I'm going to find myself and I'm going to live for myself from now on, I will figure it out along the way. But I have to make that choice. And so that's what I did. I decided from now on, no more living for others, only living for myself. That I would go out there into the world and I was gonna go find myself. But I knew I wouldn't find myself out into the world. I knew that out into the world would only deliver me experiences that could help me find myself inside me. So I knew I was going on an inward journey and just using the world around me as wonderful impulses and inspiration on that inward journey. And I made the choice that I was gonna live for me and no one else. This is my life. And I wanted to be the kind of person I could look in the mirror and be proud of and love and think, I'm amazing. I really like who I am. So that was the decision that I made. And from there on, my life changed forever. You cannot imagine the things that started happening for me. Literally within 2 months after that, I found the love of my life. I, who's still my partner, we're still madly in love. We're in love more every day. I love where this relationship is taking us. So, and that happened not even 2 months after that. And I started to really get set on my path. I started to make things happen. I started to go after my dreams. I started to learn who I was. I started to get deeply involved in personal development and doing the inner work, in spiritual work and energetic work, things just changed and things started happening and aligning for me. Doors opened, signs appeared, and things became clearer and clearer. And so, this is when my journey back home to myself truly began. And why I say this is the most important choice that I have ever made, the one choice that really truly changed my life forever, is simply because of the fact that we are living in a society where we are trained and programmed to live for the outside world, to focus only on the outside, to focus on everyone else, to care about everyone else's opinion, to focus on being the kind of person who everyone else likes, who everyone else adores, who is considered great and awesome by the outside world. And we are never or rarely ever encouraged to become the kind of person that we ourselves think is great, that we ourselves think is amazing, that we look in a mirror to and think, "Oh my God, you're amazing. I love me. I'm awesome." And so, as we are encouraged to live for everyone else, what happens is that we automatically start abandoning our own needs, our own desires, our own dreams, and our own hearts. I mean, we are encouraged to live for everyone else, right? So, everyone else in our system with that program is considered to be more important, more valuable than us. So we start abandoning ourselves. We stop living for ourselves and we start living for the world. And so, of not even for the world, for constructs and ideals that, sorry, but toxic society puts on us. And so, from that place, how could we ever create a life that we can truly love and enjoy? How can we ever even connect to our real dreams, to our deepest soul longings? I mean, if we're living all our life for everyone else, how can we even feel them? How can we even recognize them as ours? It's not possible. So, what happens when we make a choice like the one that I did is we are canceling that program written within us. We are saying no more. We are deleting it from our system, saying, no, I take the road less traveled, the road back home to me. Instead of outwards, 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 I go inwards. I reconnect with me. I remember who I am. I remember what I want. I remember what I'm here for, what my soul desires. I remember who I am. If I don't focus on you or everyone else, but only on me and who I desire to be in this life, what my heart wants. So when we make that choice, we change the trajectory of our life. Because when we are living for everyone else, when we are living simply by the programs that have been installed in us and by the constructs that have been placed upon us by society, we are living a faded life. A faded life in the sense of we are gonna get the outcome of the programs we are running by. So probably going to repeat our parents' story or grandparents' story, depending on which programs we took on. But we're actually just living an unconscious life, and we're going to be this, or we're going to end up living a fate that is defined by unconscious programs that doesn't allow us to go outside of those constructs that those programs create in our reality. But when we make that choice to stop living for everyone else and start living for ourselves and go inward, do the inner work, and reconnect to our soul's truths, we are canceling out that program, that subconscious program that ends up making our life faded, like ends up defining our fate. And we start actually living our destiny. And our destiny is something else. Fate and destiny are not the same. Our destiny, in truth, is actually who are we are here to become. It is our destiny, is our soul's deepest longing, our soul's greatest mission on this planet. It's our heart's highest expression. And that is our destiny, to fulfill that soul mission. And so when we decide to turn inward and say, no more, I'm living for myself from now on, I'm going to rediscover who I am, and I'm going to become a person I can love and be proud of, and I'm going to live my life for me, we reconnect to our soul. We reconnect to that other way, that other program that is available for us in our system, which is the program of soul, of fulfilling our soul mission and following our destined path as chosen by our soul before we incarnated. And that's when things start aligning and changing, and we experience those radical changes in our lives, such immense shifts, such immense changes, and such powerful transformation. And it's just, it's so fascinating because in the beginning you think, wow, it's incredible what can happen in a short amount of time, but it starts happening faster and faster and faster, and the further you move forward on your journey, the faster the transformation happens and the bigger the transformations are. And at some point I look back now at those 7 years and I'm seeing the transformation I undergo now within 1 year, that I went through since October 2022 compared to now, is exponentially more compared to the years before. So it's truly what I, the first 3 years after I made that choice, what I went through in the first 3 years after I made that choice is the same amount of transformation under I ended up undergoing in the fourth year. And what I went through in the first 4 years altogether is what I ended up going through in the fifth year. And you see how this is exponentially happening faster, and the transformation increases, and we more and more and more return home to who we really are and become that person who we were meant to be, and follow on our soul's mission, on our path, on our true destiny line, on the highest timeline. And all it really takes for you to step onto that path is to make that choice, to live for you, to be who you really are, no matter how long it takes for you to find yourself. And to make that your utmost priority, to live for yourself and for your own destiny. And that is truly all it takes. It is such a powerful choice to make that it literally changes the trajectory of our lives. And it's not that we see that within an instant. We feel the powerful choice that we make in that moment when we make it with all our heart. But it's not like, and you make that choice and within the next 2 weeks you're going to see those massive results. It's not that. It's a process. That choice is a trigger that starts setting you up for a new path. It starts activating this other program, but it takes its time to unfold. I wasn't able to see how powerful that choice was until several years later, looking back, seeing, wow, I remember that evening I made that choice and how it felt in my body, how powerful it felt, and how life changing it felt. And now I actually see what it brought into my life and how it opened paths and how it continuously brought me closer back home to my heart and my soul. And so it is not a choice that you make and then within a few days your life is completely different. It can happen. Like, I'm always saying, like, nothing's impossible, but don't don't make it depend on that. Like, don't tell yourself it has to be like that. It is a choice that defines the rest of your life, and that's how it's supposed to be lived for the rest of your life. Not for a few days, not for a few weeks, the rest of your life, because that's what you're setting up for when you make that choice. The rest of your life, you are changing the rest of your life. So this is the most powerful choice you can ever make, for you, for everyone, for your soul. And if you haven't made that choice yet, it's never too late. Know that you can make that choice today. You can change the trajectory of your life today by making that choice. It's never too late for your soul. It's never too late to return to your heart. So wherever you are in your life, whatever you experience, whatever you feel, if you desire a life full of magic and wonders and miracles and alignment and soul and heartfelt, true happiness and purpose and fulfillment, choose yourself, choose your soul, choose to live for you and only you. Because truly, you're not serving anyone if you live for anyone else. You can share your magic, yes. You can be of service to others, yes. And you will be. But you gotta live for you first. And even if it's challenging, the path, even if afterwards some doubts come up and sometimes you get challenged and you're asking yourself if you're doing it and if it's happening for you, or you may feel like, oh my God, things were easier before I made that choice. Don't let that discourage you. It's the challenges are part of the path. We do need to uncover the truth of who we are under all those layers we put upon it. And there might be quite some layers to work through, and that comes with challenges. That is normal. But it doesn't mean you're not getting there. It just means that you are ready to take on more. You are ready to deal with bigger challenges. And it is truly the most magical and amazing journey if you embrace it wholeheartedly and you accept to take that path. And you will see that who you become will blow you away. I can tell you who I am today blows me away when I compare myself to who I was 7 years ago when I made that choice. That girl, I love that girl, and she was the best version she could be at that moment. But I had no, if you would have told me back then who I could become in 7 years, I wouldn't have believed you. The strength I feel, the power I feel, the alignment I feel, how deeply I know myself, how much I love myself, the person I have become on every level, how brave I became, how clear I became, how powerful I became, how aligned I became, how much I can look in the mirror and truly say, I'm proud of me. I'm proud of the person I am. I'm not perfect, no, but I am proud of the person I am because I know I make soul choices every single time that I am confronted with a choice. I am following soul. I am following my heart and the deep love that I truly am in my essence. And so, if that is something you desire in your life, I truly encourage you to make that choice. Make that choice to live for you, to live for your soul, and to start being yourself no matter what. It is so worth it. Yes, it takes courage. Yes, it's scary, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's the best choice I ever made. It's the choice that changed my life forever. And I wouldn't have such an amazing life without making that choice. And if I would get to turn back time, I would make that choice over and over and over again, a billion times. I wouldn't change a second of that story. So, if you resonate with this, I would love to hear your feedback, your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings. Maybe you've made that choice a long time ago. Maybe you're about to make that choice. Maybe you just made it. I would love to hear where you are on your journey. I'd love for you to share with me and reflect back to me any thoughts and ideas you have on the topic. And yeah, just exchange and create a wider perspective through hearing each other's thoughts and ideas. I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and stay tuned for another episode of Soul Alchemy coming up soon. I love you guys. Take care.